Mazda are never ones to follow the rest of the industry. You see, while the rest of the industry are making their engines smaller, Mazda are actually making their engines bigger. This is the 2025 Mazda 3, and whilst externally and internally this car actually remains almost the same as before, other than a few different tweaks, there is one big change, and that is underneath the bonnet. You see, the previous 2-litre engine has now been swapped out for a 2.5-litre one instead. So it's now more powerful, but thanks to a few more tweaks, it's also more economical. Hi guys, my name's Tish and welcome back to the John Banks Review YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking the Mazda 3 out for a spin and finding out whether that new engine has improved the way that it drives, because it was already a pretty good hatchback. So if you want to find out everything I think about the Mazda 3, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So I suppose the first thing we need to do is get this out on the road and test out that new engine. Also, don't forget, during this video, if you had any further questions or queries, or if you wanted to test drive the very impressive Mazda 3 for yourself, then you can head over to the contact down below and book in at Mazda Colchester. This new 2025 model features a larger 2.5-litre e-Skyactiv G engine, and that replaces the previous 2-litre engine. It offers 140 PS or 138 brake horsepower, and it has improved torque. Along with incorporating Mazda's M hybrid system and cylinder deactivation, it's also more economical as well. A bit more on those figures. So it delivers the power output of 138 brake horsepower, and that's paired together with 238 newton meters of torque, meaning it can accelerate from 0 to 62 in just 9.2 seconds and reaches a top speed of 128 miles per hour. Now, Mazda states that the new engine offers 47.1 mile per gallon and CO2 emissions as low as 135 grams per kilometre. In contrast, the previous 2-litre engine generated 120 brake horsepower along with 213 newton meters of torque, and that was enough to send you from 0 to 62 in 10.4 seconds for the manual and 10.8 for the automatic. So they've actually managed to trim just under a second off of that time. Externally, the Mazda 3 remains the same, and that means it maintains its sleek and sporty silhouette. The 5-door hatchback features a swooping bonnet, low nose and set-back round headlights. At the rear, the distinctive lights are mirrored, with a simple small spoiler, gloss black bumper and twin exhausts sitting proud. And for a long time, if you was looking for a hatchback which focused on driving dynamics, then you may be looking at the Mazda 3 along with a few other rivals, including the Ford Focus, which was always known for its driving engagement. However, along with the Fiesta, Ford has decided to ditch the Focus, and that leaves it wide open for the Mazda to snatch the title as being the best to drive hatchback. But it's not just stealing the title from Ford because it no longer exists. This is a very worthy car of being one of the best hatchbacks to drive, especially with this manual gearbox. It makes it really engaging, and it also offers something which many manufacturers can't offer anymore. For instance, you can no longer get a manual Golf. New cars can be so complicated nowadays, but the lovely thing about the Mazda 3 is it's still so simple in the way that it's laid out. In this centre console, we also find something else that's not often found in other manufacturers' cars, and that is a scroller. You see, if I turn on the Mazda 3, this then controls the main infotainment system, which is brilliant. This is really good for navigating this car whilst driving. You can use the scroller to navigate through your various settings and also the car's inbuilt navigation, of which all models of the Mazda 3 get inbuilt navigation, again, not like many manufacturers. The interesting thing, however, is this is not a touchscreen the majority of the time. However, When you do have it in Apple CarPlay demands a bit more functions. There's quite a few more scrolling settings, and using this can be a little bit tedious. So actually, when you're using your Apple CarPlay, it becomes a touchscreen, which I think is very handy. In this mid-spec model, you do get these cloth seats, but you get lovely leather across the dashboard, and you get the sporty red stitching across that dash and also across the doors as well. You also get just tippings of the chrome that goes around the centre, giving it a slightly premium touch. With this being a more affordable model, you will find slightly cheaper materials lower down, for instance on the glove box, but even right on top of the dashboard, you have a lovely leather, so it feels more high quality than many of this car's rivals. And similar to this central scroller, you also still get physical climate control dials, 2-zone, and you also get heated seats. And these are so much easier to use when driving rather than having all of the functions inside of the touchscreen. In terms of storage, I've got 2 cup holders at the front, I've got a wireless charging pad just behind these, and inside this armrest I will find additional storage as well as my 2 USB-C charging ports and a 12-volt charger as well. There's also a really good sized glove box, and you get storage inside of the doors, including somewhere dedicated to put a cup. You even still get your glasses holder on top of the roof. So that's the front of the Mazda 3, but what about in the back? The sporty nature of the Mazda 3 is definitely carried across to every element of this vehicle. The black headlining can mean that in the rear here, paired together with the smaller rear windows, it can feel a little bit cramped. So if you're going to be carrying people in the back often, this may not be the best car. But you know what? I'm really quite comfortable back here. I'm about 5'5", I've got the driver's seat in my position, and I've got a ton of legroom, and I've got lots of headroom as well. I've even got my sunglasses on, so if I take those off, I've got a good few inches above my head. Now, in terms of amenities, it does fall short a little bit. So you've got 2 ISOFIX fitments, so that's good, but there's not any charging. You haven't got any rear charging ports underneath this armrest. You have got a pocket, but only a pocket on the passenger seat, weirdly. So you've got a pocket on this seat, but not a pocket on this one. I have got quite a bit of storage in the doors, so I've got somewhere to put a cup, and I have got a pull down armrest with a couple of cup holders, and they've even got little spongy bits to hold smaller cups in place. So it's not particularly negative in the back of the Mazda 3, but it's also not a highlight of this car. And space on offer doesn't get much better when it comes to the boot. But it has to be said that if you're looking for a vehicle with tons of space in the back and tons of space in the boot, then maybe look at something larger which is set up for families. When it comes to the Mazda 3, it's really clear that Mazda has focused on this vehicle's driving engagement and also given it that swoopy design which makes it look quite sporty with the double exhaust. They're not focusing on being the biggest in class, but they are focusing on being one of the best to drive, and it's good to remember that when you're shopping around. Talking about boot space, however, but inside here you'll find 351 litres, which is smaller than a Focus or Golf, but it is larger than many small hatchbacks. And inside of this boot you'll be able to fit a couple of suitcases and definitely your weekly shop, so most people shouldn't find it too much of an issue. The main problem with the boot of the Mazda 3 is there's quite a deep load area with no boot floor to heighten up the boot and give you a flat load area. So dropping heavier items into the bottom of the boot could be a bit tricky when you go to get them back out. But I shouldn't think that most people for everyday use will find it an issue at all. Whilst Mazda gets ready to electrify their fleet with the up-and-coming Mazda 6, which I've actually done a preview video of, so if you want to watch it you can click up there, they're still very much focused on offering combustion engines which suit all types of people. Those who aren't quite ready to go electric and they need the convenience of a petrol car. The new Mazda 3 is now more powerful and more economical. What's there not to love? We've always loved the Mazda 3 here at Mazda Colchester, and we know our customers do as well. But let us know, what do you think of the changes to the engine? And is there anything else that you think needs to be tweaked or changed about the Mazda 3? Or is it perfect just the way that it is? Let us know all of your thoughts and feelings down below. I really hope you have enjoyed this video today, guys. Any other questions or queries, then make sure you pop them down below and one of our sales team will be happy to help you out. If you've loved the video, then please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, see you later.